Hi guys, it's Miss Kleska. For the past 2 weeks, we've been talking about figurative language and we've talked about onomatopoeias and similes and metaphors. So your goal is using your notes, you're going to try to figure out the meaning of these words. You're going to try to name the figurative language. So as you're looking at the task cards, please make sure that you listen and read the directions and the sentences carefully to choose your answer. You may use your notes. If you have any trouble with this, please ask and we can work on it together. So our first task card, it says Allison walked down the dusty path toward the pond. She loved summer nights at her grandfather's farm. It was dusk and the air was feeling cooler as the sun set behind the trees. Allison sat on the beach by the pond. The fireflies frolicked and flickered all around her, making the evening feel magical. Allison sat peacefully watching the sunset. The darker it got, the more fireflies appeared. Allison sighed and watched the tiny bugs light up like a million tiny Christmas lights. In the distance, there was a low, faint rumble. Allison looked toward the sky. It was gray like smoke. She felt a few tiny drops of rain land on her cheek, then heard another rumble, but this time louder. She didn't want to leave the serene spot, but thought she better get inside before the storm began. Question 1. Read the sentence from the story. In the distance, there was a low, faint rumble. The author uses an onomatopoeia in the story to A. Describe the sound of the raindrops made. B. Tell the reader a storm is coming. C. Explain why Allison feels calm. D. Inform the reader about the dangerous situation. If you don't remember what an onomatopoeia is, please use your notes to help you to answer this question. This goes for any of the other questions, guys. Please use your notes to make sure that you understand the definition or what they're asking you. Remember, we have all of this in our notes and you can also watch the videos. Question 2. Read the sentence from the story. The fireflies frolicked and flickered all around her, making the evening feel magical. This sentence contains an example of an onomatopoeia, a simile, a hyperbole, or an alliteration. Question 3. Which sentence from the story is an example of figurative language? Allison walked down the dusty path toward the pond. It was gray like smoke. Allison sat on the bench by the pond. The darker it got, the more fireflies appeared. Question 4. Read the sentence from the story. Allison sighed and watched the tiny bugs light up like a million tiny Christmas lights. This sentence contained an example of A. Alliteration, B. Personification, C. Onomatopoeia, or D. A simile. Task card number 2. Louis was staying at home alone for the first time. His mom had decided he was finally old enough and no longer needed a babysitter. He always felt like such a baby when the neighbor would come to watch him. His mom only planned to be away for 2 hours. Louis was excited and had his 2 hours alone all planned out. He knew the time would pass quickly. He would first call his friend Devin and they would play their online game together. He put his feet up on the couch and eat snacks. Oops, let me read that again, guys. I'm sorry. He put his feet up on the couch and eat snacks, and there'd be no one telling him to turn off the TV or clean up. His mom left at 6 o'clock. Louis locked the doors and decided to make a snack before he called Evan. He rustled through the cabinets, opening and slamming doors as he looked for something tasty. He was like a tornado tearing through the cabinets. Louis noticed that it was getting darker outside. As he watched out the window, he could see the wind swirling and blowing things about angrily. This made Louis a bit worried. He decided to call Devin. Playing video games would take his mind off the wind. Louis sat down on the couch and turned on the TV. As he reached for the phone, the power suddenly went out. Louis wasn't sure what to do. Suddenly, he wished he had the babysitter from next door watching over him like a hawk. These 2 hours were going to feel like an eternity. Question 1. Read the sentence from the story. As he watched out the window, he could see the wind swirling and blowing things about angrily. This sentence contains an example of an onomatopoeia, a simile, personification, alliteration. Question 2. Which sentence from the story is not an example of a simile? These 2 hours were going to feel like an eternity. Suddenly, he wished he had the babysitter from next door watching over him like a hawk. Louis noticed that it was getting darker outside. He always felt like such a baby when the neighbor came to watch him. Question 3. Read the sentence from the story. He rustled through the cabinets, opening and slamming doors as he looked for something tasty. The author uses an onomatopoeia in the story to describe Louis's actions in the kitchen, explain the sounds Louis heard outside, compare Louis's noises to a tornado, let the reader tell the reader about what Louis is eating. Please use your notes from class and look at the videos to help you with this assignment. If you need any help, please let me know and we'll go over it together.